in your face? It looks like an old catcher's mitt. You've experienced a lifetime of smoking in 72 hours. What did you expect? Well, emphysema, birth defects, cancer, but not this.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Today, we're talking a little bit about nicotine and smoking. And it seems like every time we talk about this, they go crazy because everybody wants to know, can I do Zyn or Sesh, or can I smoke cigars or weed or smoke anything really without it completely destroying my health? And I've asked a lot of my friends about this. So on this episode, we cut together some clips from some of the people who've talked about these things in the past with us. First, we have Justin Cottle, who is literally somebody who examines cadavers for a living, the Institute of Human Anatomy. He's got 6-7 million subscribers on their YouTube channel now, just showing the detrimental effects of some of these issues later on. And so he talks about what types of smoking are better / worse. Spoiler alert, they're not great, any of them. Then we brought on Dave Asprey, the father of biohacking, to talk about the ways that nicotine actually has some health benefits. What are the upsides to using something like nicotine? And then lastly, I have Dr. Brady Smith, who is a dentist, and he talks about what it looks like on your teeth, what it looks like on your gums, how it impacts your gum health and things like that. So we have Justin, Dave, and Brady all talking a little bit about nicotine, a little bit about smoking, and we'll throw in some other clips from some other episodes as well.
For every 100 studies on the negative health outcomes of smoking, you could find somewhere between 2 and 6 in that 100 that actually draw a light conclusion that smoking might be good for you. Does that mean you should pick up the Marlboros?
Yeah.
No.
So if you have any questions about this will be kind of the masterclass episode. So hope you check it out, and we'll catch you guys next time. Let's talk vaping. Versus smoking. It's obviously fairly well documented that smoking's pretty bad for you. Vaping's the new thing, and now there's kids, dude. Like, just kids. They're like 11 around with freaking vapes. I gotta assume it's not good for you either. So let's talk through some of the effects that vaping might have on you.
So vaping there's a difference in types of vape that we have learned this because Jonathan made a few videos on vaping, and if you want to agitate a community, make a video demonizing vaping. They are very passionate because there is nicotine type vaping, and then there's cannabis, and then you have regulated versus unregulated. And to me, I think we're just splitting hairs here. And at the end of the day, they're all going to be bad. Yes, it's on a spectrum, right? I think there's no disagreement. Like the unregulated THC cartridge you got from the trunk of a car, in a Denny's parking lot. Yes, okay. That is going to be the worst cartridge, okay? But at the end of the day, your lungs evolved to inhale oxygen, nitrogen. That's pretty much it, and exhale carbon dioxide. There are vapors that are going in there, obviously that's in its name, that we just don't have long-term studies. So what we do know is with THC-based cartridges, something called EVALI. I forget off the top of my head what EVALI stands for, but EVALI is destroying lungs. We've seen data around popcorn lung. Popcorn lung got its name based around movie theater popcorn. And workers, the fumes actually destroying parts of their alveoli, the distal most sacs inside their lungs based off those fumes. So to me, it's like, I think this is about as common sense as it is. Look, I'll be honest. I used to smoke cigarettes when I was in the Marine Corps. Yeah. I used to justify that like crazy. I know it's bad for me, but I could stop it. Like, I know the mentality of smokers, and I know the mentality of vapors is the same thing, even if they don't want to pretend. They want to pretend that it's different. Yeah. At the end, they're justifying it. I think everyone knows that it's more likely it's bad for you than it isn't. But the thing that they're holding their hat on is that we don't have a ton of long-term data. But the data we are having come in is suggesting that, yes, there are definitely problems. It's affecting the sacs. So these alveoli, these are really tiny. These are microscopic little sacs. That's the very end of the bronchial tubes. So when you breathe in, that's where air stops and it meets the bloodstream. Those are somewhat getting destroyed or losing elasticity.
These are in your lungs?
These are in your lungs. Okay. So they're losing elasticity. You're seeing in some cases, again, it depends on, we'd have to ask, what is the vape? What are they smoking or inhaling? Things that are similar to like emphysema, COPD, so chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. There's all sorts of little incidents, but we just don't have long-term data. But I think anyone who is assuming this is going to be fine, that they could do this all day, every day until they're 90 and assume they'll be fine, I think they're deluding themselves.
The substance is basically irrelevant, whether it's THC or nicotine or whatever it is. It's pretty much irrelevant.
Yeah, they're all going to affect you differently because THC is it's a different molecule, right, than nicotine is. Mm-hmm. So you have to have different carrier molecules. There's different things, there's different subtleties, and those are going to interact with the body. And there's no question that what it seems like is unregulated THC cartridges are very bad. Mm. But at the end of the day, you still are inhaling things with the nicotine. Sure. Nicotine itself is not that bad. Yeah. So, it depends. There's
actually, I've heard that it's actually not. That's actually pretty good in some
exactly.
cases.
But the problem is it's also very easy to abuse. And so, I mean, this is where we just have to be honest with ourselves and say like, okay, is it worth it? Is it worth the effort or the risk that's coming with it? And for me, it's like I don't see why you'd really go down that realm. Yeah, if you don't have to.
What about smoking weed, like smoking flower versus a vape, or smoking flower versus smoking a cigarette?
It's awful for you. Smoking anything. Yeah. Because I mean,
anything you inhale into your lungs besides oxygen.
The way I always put it is it's like you're lighting something on fire right in front of your face and inhaling it. Yeah. That's not good for you. Mm-hmm. Smoke, there are many different kinds of smoke and they all matter differently, but they're all bad for you. And we know this. So it's like if someone were to I'm not in the habit of giving medical advice, but if someone were to just ask, Justin, what's your preference scale? Yeah. Right. Like obviously vaping. Yeah.
Well, it's like alcohol, right? Like no alcohol is good for you, but tequila is probably the best one.
Exactly.
If we're going to make if we're forcing me to pick good alcohol, it's probably the clear tequila is probably best.
Exactly. So that's where I'm at is vaping is going to be the best one more out of those typical, but with smoking is smoking a cigar, how's that going to be different? Because if you inhale the cigar smoke, that's going to be very bad for you. Well, you shouldn't be inhaling the cigar smoke. But this is where you start getting all these little nuances. And I'm not in the habit of fighting with the community in my comment section. Yeah. But I read those comments and you can see that when I did a video talking about this very thing, about how all smoke is bad. I don't care what it's coming from. It's bad for you. The amount of pushback I got from cigar smokers was intense because they are just out there well, you shouldn't be doing that. And I'm like, I get it, but I mean, do you really think no smoke, not even a little bit of smoke is getting into your lungs? Right. It's all very bad for you. It destroys, again, COPD, so emphysema, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. It's going to create bronchitis. Yeah. You are literally inhaling hot fumes into your lungs. It's going to destroy them.
Is there so let's do the fake scale thing here. So we're talking smoking cigarettes, probably all the way worst thing you could do. Mm. What would be the best thing if you're picking one of those vices?
Picking one of those vices,
cigar smoke. Assuming you're not inhaling cigar smoke, you're doing it properly. You're smoking it in the mouth, or smoking, a joint, or smoking a vape, or where do you put all these things on this kind of?
I would probably put it at
bad to worst spectrum.
That's a really good question. I'd have to do some I don't want to. It's not that I need to do a robust comparative analysis or anything like that, but I mean, I get the feeling.
Some views though if you did.
Right, probably. I would probably put it and rank it. I'd say probably THC. It's a toss up because I mean, I'm also a fan of THC and CBD, and I am really interested
of the compounds themselves.
Yeah. I'm very much interested in them. I'm very interested in psychedelics as a whole, and while THC doesn't really classify as a psychedelic, I really am optimistic about a lot of things with it. So that might be affecting my bias with it. Okay, but at the same time, I would definitely put it in vaping. So whether it's nicotine or vaping, those are probably going to be the best.
Vaping would be better than smoking.
100%.
Okay.
100%. But I mean, there could be a study that comes out next week, and and I'm just that
obliterates that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. Well, it doesn't bode well for my cigar smoking either. But some of those vices, man. Sometimes I'm just you know what? I know this is bad for me, but I enjoy this so much.
You don't have to be, exactly. You don't have to be perfect, and I'm not.
And nobody's vice free,
Exactly.
And if you tell me you are,
then you're lying.
Yeah. There's something you're hiding.
Yeah, this is never, for me, it's never been about passing judgment. It's merely just kind of just educating. That's all it is. I am all about personal agency. Make your own choices.
Well, also the frustrating part, I'm sure from your end, is just seeing the desperate justification from people who want to feel good about it. Yeah. Instead of just admitting that it's just, all right, it's not good for me, but I'm going to smoke a cigar.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Honestly, probably the best the best comments I've seen come from cigarette smokers because they all understand it's bad.
There's no talking your way out of that one.
Yeah, they're just like, look, we do it because we want to be rebels. And I'm like, okay, you know who you are. That's all good
for you.
It's all good.
Oh man. Is there like a frequency? Like, so asking from me being a cigar smoker, if you're smoking 3 cigars a day, that's got to be a difference between smoking 1 cigar a month, right? I mean, do you know any of the data on that?
I don't know it off the top. I did at one point because I did at one point, but I don't remember at this point. Just understand, like, put it this way. You have a turnover rate for cells called epithelial cells inside of your mouth, inside of your throat. And it can take a few days to a couple weeks, depending on the type of cell and the exact location. Just think, like, even if you're inhaling and puffing on that cigar, you're destroying the epithelium that are on your teeth, on the roof of your mouth, on your tongue. Those are just getting bombarded, right? So that's going to take a little bit of time for them to fully regenerate and get to where that'll take a couple days. But it also just depends on the type of cigar, right? I mean, is this a full blown Cuban, like that you imported?
Sure.
When you shouldn't have, there is nuances to this.
Because it also matters like what kind of chemicals are wrapped in the tobacco leaves and like the additive. That's what kind of, from my understanding, makes cigarettes worse than basically anything else, right? Is like just the additives and the chemicals and the other shit they put in there that's not tobacco.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I have one selfish question to ask you.
Sure.
I don't know if you've noticed, but I've had a Zyn in my mouth this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I've been meaning to ask a nutritionist, biohacker, because I've Googled it so many times. Oh, there you go. Okay, sweet. So I want to ask you this question because I've given myself an excuse to start, popping in these nicotine pouches. But I've heard good and bad things about them. Can you clarify anything about nicotine and its effects on the body?
The reason that nicotine is a thing in biohacking circles is that about 10 years ago, I interviewed Dr. Nicotine from Vanderbilt University. And I just call him that.
Yeah.
I think his name is Andrew. And in 1986, he published the first paper showing that pharmaceutical nicotine, but not smoking or using tobacco, reverses Alzheimer's disease. And I have been talking about using nicotine as a longevity compound in low doses since that time. It's in my big longevity book. And I've talked about it just incessantly as one of my favorite nootropics. So there is good evidence, unless you have cancer, that you should use a small amount of nicotine if you want your brain to work better. It is neuroprotective. It simulates exercise through something called PGC1 alpha. And there's just abundant evidence that nicotine is good for human beings in low doses and without all the crap that comes from breathing stuff that's on fire.
Sure. What would a low dose be?
For longevity, I recommend somewhere around 5 milligrams a day.
Okay.
And you can use more than that, most likely, without there being major problems. If you use too much nicotine, you can have thinning of hair or erectile dysfunction. And those are good signs to look for. But there is a problem. You're using Zyn. Zyn has microplastics in those pouches.
Okay.
So that is not the preferred way to do it. You can either get a spray outside the US, which I oftentimes use. You can use Lucy, which is something that doesn't have bad sweeteners because most of it has stuff that cooks your brain with the sweeteners. And there's also another brand called Knick Knack, which I have because it's convenient right now. And these only have a kind of sugar alcohol that stops cavities and nicotine and natural flavors, nothing else.
Okay.
So Zyn, bad sweeteners, microplastics.
Okay.
And if you overuse it, just look for those side effects.
Yeah.
But different people need different amounts. If you have an ADHD brain or you're just really tired or you're going to go on stage, I find that nicotine is as important as this other molecule on my arm. That's caffeine. So all of my books have been written, except for the first one, have been written with a combination of caffeine and nicotine, like almost every great book ever written.
Good. You're speaking my language then.
Every
time
reminder.
I do a podcast interview, to have some coffee, some nicotine. One of these, I know there's a bunch of bad stuff in here.
And what do you think's in here? Danger coffee.
Danger coffee. There you go. Real quick on the cancer thing. So I did actually have cancer last year. I'm in remission now.
What flavor?
Testicular.
Okay.
in remission now, but I'm obviously still going back in for quarterly checkups to make sure there's no metastasizing or anything like that.
Doing a blood biopsy for that?
No.
Okay.
No.
So there's a couple of companies that can do a biopsy in your blood to look for hundreds of types of cancer now.
Okay.
I did a podcast with at least one of them, and you should also do a whole body MRI.
Okay.
Like pre-nuvo, and maybe even have those guys on the show. They run about $2,500, and they'll spot about 500 types of cancer at stage 1 anywhere in the body. And because cancer is just a huge problem post-COVID vaccine injury, and I'm just calling it what it is. So people who got the vaccine have a much higher incidence of stillbirth. We know the spike protein goes to your testes and to your ovaries, and so do microplastics. So what you want to do is if you have no active cancer and you're doing nicotine, the reason nicotine is not a good idea when you have cancer is nicotine drives angiogenesis. That's the formation of new blood vessels. You want new blood vessels in your brain, in your reproductive organs, in your body. It's actually good. But if you have cancer, one of the Western theories is you have to starve the cancer by not healing anymore. So that's why there's a little warning label with nicotine. Nicotine does not cause cancer. Burning stuff and putting it in your lungs causes cancer. Different animals.
Yeah.
So I think you're safe.
Okay.
And I would be doing, I don't know what kind of quarterly checkups if they're just doing some kind of imaging.
CTs, ultrasound.
Okay.
And then blood work.
Yeah, the blood work I think is most important for that. But you're working with cancer docs, so do what they say.
Yeah. So as I pop another one of these Zins in, how much am I ruining my gums here by using these nicotine pouches?
It's such a new product that we don't know, but you're going to be the guinea pig to find out, Travis. We're going to find out, right?
We'll find out for sure. Yeah.
I just saw someone like 2 weeks ago, actually, and they had like some ulcerations, right? Okay, so if you chew tobacco, if you chew tobacco, it's similar where you put it like in a spot.
Yeah.
Like everyone who chews tobacco has a spot they put it in. And I can identify that as a dentist in an exam in a second.
Yeah.
I can be like, you chew tobacco, and that's where you put it. Because it makes the tissue, it looks like when you've been in the pool for too long and your fingers are all like wrinkled, like the tips of your fingers all pruning. It prunes the tissue. And so it's super obvious. And the only 2 times in my entire 15-year career that I have ever found oral cancer, like seen it and been the one to find it and get it diagnosed and start the ball rolling, it is in 2 individuals that were chewing tobacco, and that tissue just kind of starts getting gnarly and starts growing shit. And so stuff. Keeping it professional. But those are the only 2 times. So when I see someone with the Zens, it's obvious, but different.
Okay.
So that's all I know.
Obvious,
is that
but different.
It's obvious that you're doing it.
Yeah.
I can see that it is having an effect on your gum tissue. But it almost looks somewhere between that pruning of the tissue and like if you burned yourself with pizza. Like if you burned, like if the tissue,
that would make sense. Yeah,
like it's some kind of ulceration.
It does burn a little bit.
Yeah,
especially when you're first starting. It burns,
okay. Yeah. So I am, but I'm not a scientist. I just I can tell you're doing it.
Yeah, and it is so new. Like we don't know what the long term repercussions are on anything that's brand new.
I hope not. I hope it doesn't.
I also hope not.
I hope that for everyone using Zen.
Right.
So
I just heard some like really good things about nicotine in general recently that have made me be like, I like experimenting with nootropics, anything that gives me the ability to kind of produce better creatively when I'm writing or when I'm podcasting or something like that. I take these like little Magic Mind nootropic shots that are, just organic matcha shots that have a bunch of different nootropic factors like ashwagandha and cordyceps and things like that. I take those a lot of times before
cordyceps
podcasting.
are the fungus that that whole show was based on, right?
I don't know. What show?
Cordyceps? What's the one with Pedro Pascal and they all turn into zombies, but it's a fungal infection?
Oh, I don't know.
Last of Us. Last of Us?
Oh, I've seen it.
It was a video game.
I've not seen it, but I've seen it.
I think cordyceps were the fungus that they used in the show.
Oh, really?
They inhabit your body Anyway, I don't mean to scare you. It's
Sweet.
It's really cool. It's a really cool show.
So there's no free lunch, basically, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
There's always downsides.
I'm pretty open-minded, I think, as compared to most dentists when it comes to like holistic approaches.